welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Cloud. It's great to
How are
talk to
you?
you. Good, thanks.
Good.
Yes, so my parents cut me out of their lives a few weeks ago. They sent a
Oh
goodbye
no.
letter. Um,
They sent
yes,
a goodbye
and
letter?
yes,
How old are you?
it's a. I'm 38.
38. That's hard. I'm sorry. What
Um,
what why?
yes,
What happened?
thank you. Uh, it's a very long, complicated story with abuse history. Um, but my main question is, or about since then, my parents have been sending my daughter gifts. She's almost one. They sent her Easter gift and just recently some birthday gifts. And I'm not sure what to do. And there's also notes with the gifts to my daughter, who obviously can't read them. Should I give her these gifts, or should we send them back? What message is it sending her if we do either of those things?
Yeah. Question. Is there any way to tell me really quickly why they would cut you out of their lives?
Um, it was essentially there was an argument between my husband and my mom, and I was kept being pulled in. My family wanted me to fix it, and I, for once, refused to. And yeah, so basically, I just wasn't doing what my mom wanted me to do.
And you were doing that because you were because it's your husband's issue with them, and you were kind of thinking that he they're being unreasonable and he's right, and just is that kind of the way it went?
Yeah, I felt it had to deal with him, but it also involved me. It was the way I was treated as a child.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very complicated story. I'm sorry.
That's all right. But I'm just trying to get a picture from your perspective. I'm assuming with the way they did this, that your parents are being pretty unreasonable as a kind of bottom line. Could we just assume that if that's what this scenario
Yeah.
is about? Okay.
Yeah.
And difficult to deal with. All right.
Yes.
Well, every one of these situations is different. And I would really encourage you to probably go talk to a counselor that works with little bitty kids. You know, when I say little bitty
Okay.
kids, like, preschool ages, right? And kind of preschool to elementary kind of ages, and kind of discuss all the particulars you can't talk about here. But here's some questions that I think apply to this. Um, I am really, 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 really a strong advocate for multi-generational ties and connections. I think that grandparents are really, really important. You I think that aunts and uncles, extended family, the tribe, I think all of that is so important. But sometimes it gets broken, and sometimes people are so hurtful and destructive that we have to have a very, very firm boundary. And some people say, well, that doesn't seem loving or honoring. Well, even the scriptures teach that very specifically. So we have to be, sometimes even, as Jesus said, in some scenarios, your enemies will become the members of your own household because you've taken a stand for for goodness, for what's right. Now, I say that to say this. In that, I think we should do everything we can to make these relationships work. But if it's at a place where it won't, then we have to ask, what is possible for your child? Because what sometimes can happen is And this is a question that you have to ask yourself. Is it possible for your child to have good grandparents in her life? In other words, they treat her well. And part of treating her well is they don't spoil her relationship with you. They don't poison this child against her own parents. And so
Yeah.
right now, if they want to send gifts, it's great, this and the other. But you've got to start to figure out, and I would probably have, when it gets to the point to where there's true conscious interaction, where they're like have words that the child understands, if it gets that far where they have input into her life, then at that point I would want to have a conversation, much like divorced parents do, and say, we have our troubles, okay, that we've deemed unfixable, but we have to partner in doing the best thing for this child. And so if they're going to be involved later, at least, I think you've got to make sure that they treat your child well and they have good grandparents in however they treat her. And then secondly, part of good grandparents is not coming between a little girl and her mother or her father.
Hmm.
So if we can live within those parameters, she may get something in her life that would be a great gift if they can pull it off. Given what you said, I don't know if that's possible, but that's the question I would be worried about. If I were estranged from my parents and they were stellar grandparents, I would want my kids to have great grandparents, but I just wouldn't want it to get triangulated and divisive. And because then the kid becomes kind of like a pawn. Well, you can't talk to them because they don't like me. That gets weird, but you got to protect the child. Bottom line, you got to protect the child. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay. I would, my heart goes out to you. I have been, I've been amazed. I always get amazed. I just always get amazed. And I shouldn't, because I've been doing this long enough, but I just always get amazed when when one generation will just cut the other one off when the other one is actually wanting to work it out. I understand cutting somebody off if they're abusive to you, if they won't work it out, if they won't sit down at the table, if they don't care, if they're doing destructive things. I get that. What I don't get is cutting somebody off who, like you, are saying, I'd like to resolve this. I'd like to work it out. Let's reason together. So I'm sorry that this happened to you. And may God bless you in your efforts to do the best thing for your little girl. Thank you for calling.